I usually call myself a moody stitcher because I like to have a project for each of my moods. And if I do not have that, I will just start a new project. So this is not chaos, this is mood management. Hi, I'm Esther, and today I'm taking you through all of my whips in this Spring WIP Parade. So, welcome. The first category is cats. If you haven't been here before, I love cats. I have 4 cats living with me. The first project is called Cat People or Normal People. It's by Emma Congdon. I really haven't stitched much on it, as you can see. It was in, I think it was Cross Stitcher magazine, and I have recharted it in WinStitch so that it's 100% Pattern Keeper compatible, because if a pattern is not in Pattern Keeper, I will not stitch it. This is stitched on 16 count Ada, hand dyed by me. And I have changed all the colors in it because I found out, or I noticed, I have a lot of fancy floss and I never use it. I tend to always use the call for DMC. And then I decided one day, well, I'm going to sit down with some of these new projects I want to stitch, and then I will convert the colors into some of my fancy floss. So here I have week style work as well as classic color works. Yeah. So the next one is called Here Comes Santa Paws. I have decided not to stitch the frame because it's way too much work. So I will only stitch the motif itself, and this is how far I got. I did think, should I put this one in the Christmas category or here? But it ended up here because, you know, cats. And it's full of cats. And yeah, I think that's what I have to say about it for the moment. The next project is also a hate. That's actually my first hate. I started it in 21. It's called Quarantine Cats. And as you can see, I'm not very far. It's on, if I haven't already said that, on 18 count easy count. And I'm using the called for, of course. I have told myself that I'm not allowed to move on until I've filled out all the confetti. And at the moment where I do not have as much stitching time as I used to, I try to avoid stitching confetti because it takes too long and I don't have much progress if I only stitch confetti. So you could say that this project, as well as Here Comes Santa Paws, is kind of in hiatus at the moment. But eventually I will stitch it. Fun fact is that my third hate was also a cat. If I can find a picture, I will put it up, because that's the first hate I finished. But that was also a smaller one, but I love it. The next one I call Brown Cats. It's from Cross Stitcher magazine. Again, a pattern I have recharted, and I loved the look of the cat, but I really didn't like the colors. So after I had recharted it, I started changing the colors. So, which is why it's called Brown Cat, because my cat looks like this. It's stitched on 16 count, hand dyed by me. And I love, look at those eyes. They're just so beautiful. So yeah. The last cat project is Sewing Cats by SpeedyXStitcher. Originally bought it as a paper pattern. When she had a sale, I went and bought the digital pattern that is Pattern Keeper compatible. This is kind of an on-off pet project for me, because sometimes I stitch on it for several days and I love stitching on it, and then for a long time I don't stitch on it. This is also one of my older whips. I think I started in 2021 or 22, and it looks like this. I'm stitching it on 16 count pewter gray. As you can see, I have finished all the back stitching on the top shelf, and right now I'm working on the second shelf or the middle shelf, and when I'm done with that I will do the back stitching before I move on to the bottom shelf. I love SpeedyXStitcher designs, a lot of them, but there's so much back stitching. But you know, the back stitching, it really stands out, which is why I will stitch a lot of SpeedyXStitcher, but usually SpeedyXStitcher designs does take me quite some time because of all that back stitching. So that were the cats. Yeah, you can it starts looking a bit messy, but that's the way it is. Yeah. The next category is pop culture. This project, the Buffy Cell, it's stitched up by Lauren. I'm stitching it on 18 count silver lyrics, hand dyed by me, and I'm using the cord for DMC, and this one is currently in hiatus because I have realized I'm not the biggest fan of stitching on 18 count silver lyrics. But as you can see, I did finish the first 3 seasons, and this is season 4. So I am getting there, but this will take a long time. Eventually I will finish it because as you have probably noticed, I like Buffy a lot and stitch a lot of Buffy stuff. The latest one is that up there from the Witchy Stitcher. It's called Fight Like a Girl. Next one is a tiny one. You can probably see that it's Paul McCartney. It's by Nikki Pattern. I'm stitching it on 20 count silver gray using 1 strand, and it does take a lot of time for me to finish it because there's so much confetti left. I stitched all the blocks and now I'm left with the confetti. This is so typical me, but eventually he will be finished, I hope. Yeah, and I'm using the cord for. The next one is also by Nikki Pattern. It's Mickey Mouse, and I'm stitching it on 18 count, hand dyed by me. Again, here, this shouldn't take too long, but I have to change the colors all the time, and I'm just not in the mood for that at the moment. The next one is my own pattern. It's Fourth Wing. I started that when the first book had been when the first book was out, and now we are on book 3, right? I will finish it eventually, but it's 18 count, and it's also opalescent, and the colors don't pop that much. But I wanted this yellow fabric because the book cover is yellow. So I should have chosen some darker brown colors, or golden colors, but it's too late now. But luckily, since it's a book cover, it will not be too old. The next 2 projects are what I would call companion projects. First we have Witcher quotes, which I stitch on 18 count opalescent. And they look like this. This is a huge pattern that I made. And this is so stupid because I haven't even watched season 3. I kind of lost interest after Cavill left. But I will finish it eventually because the quotes are still pretty funny. I am using the same colors as, which is why it is in the same project bag as my Witcher portrait, which was actually the first one I started stitching. And I have not stitched on this for years, but again, I will eventually, because I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. But like with my hate, I promised myself, or promised, I told myself, it's more accurate, that I have to finish all this confetti before I move on. And I think that's what's stopping me, because I do not want to do like I did with, where is it? This one, the one with the guns. I stitched all the blocks and then it took me 2 years to finish all the confetti. So, but I think this will be absolutely gorgeous once it's done. So maybe next year I should, right now I have a challenge going. I'm going to talk a bit about that later. But when that challenge is done, maybe I should aim for the 27 is the year where I work on my oldest projects, or try to finish some of the confetti heavy stuff or something like that. The next one is also a portrait. I think his name is P.A. Murray, and he made a digital painting of Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I asked him if I could turn it into if I could turn it into a cross-stitch pattern, not for selling but just for myself, and he said yeah, sure. And this is how it looks. Not much yet. As you can see, there are blocks as well as heavy confetti, but when I stitch on this, I have first to stitch 2 threads of confetti in the hair, and after that I'm allowed to stitch some of the blocks, because I will not do the same mistake again. And this is also an 18 count easy count. And what? Yeah, it's one of my cats. He's not so happy at the moment because it's been 15 minutes since he was last fed. Okay, the next one, I'm not happy with this. I'm happy with the patterns, but I'm not happy with the fabric. This is opalescent 20 count, and I chose to stitch with sulky threads. If you do not know sulky threads, they look like this, and 1 thread of sulky is the equivalent of about 1.5 thread of DMC. I started these 3 or 4 years ago. This is Giles. This is I don't know who, and the last one I only did this. So I think I'm going to restart all of them. I'm still going to use sulky, but I think I will pick a big piece of 16 count and stitch with double sulky. I think that will make me happier. Yeah. And then I still have some bigger pieces here I can use for something else, because I'm not going to unpick it. The stitches are so tiny, so I will just cut it out and throw it out. I think that will be the solution, because I really want to stitch these patterns. So the pattern is called Primal, the 3 different patterns. They're called Mind, Soul, they're called Mind, Spirit, and Hearts. Giles, Willow, and Sander. The only problem by changing the count is that I did have a frame planned for it, and then they will not fit into that frame. But you know what? That's not a big problem. I will find another project to put in there. These were the Popculture projects. Now a little bit of statistics. Apparently I have around 80 projects, and when I was getting ready I was making a list for this WIP Parade, I noticed that most of my older projects I have mainly stitched on 18 count, and sometime around 1-2 years ago I started changing into 16 count. So I do still stitch something on 18 count, and you saw 20 count as well as 14 count. But where 18 count used to be my go-to fabric count, now it turns out it has changed into 16 count. The next projects are the Witchy Stitcher. Okay, this first one I will probably have to restart it because I made a mistake, and for the life of me I cannot figure out where I did go wrong. This is called Unicurse. It's on, let's see, 16 count, with hand dyed by me. But maybe I can tweak it so I don't have to restart it. I haven't looked at it for a very long time, so maybe I don't have to restart it. I just have to, maybe if this is going really well, maybe if I stitch down here the outline, so maybe I can fix it. So maybe I'm going to restart this one, Unicurse by the Witchy Stitcher. I did make Vampire, I did finish Vampire in the series. Bunicula, or whatever it's called, the bunny, I don't know if I'll stitch it, but if I do, I might have enough fabric here. I don't know. I can find out. The next one is called How to Survive a Horror Movie. I'm doing it on 18 count opalescent, hand dyed by me. I like this project, and in this project I'm not bothered by 18 count opalescent fabric. I'm bothered by all the backstitching, which is why it's in hiatus at the moment. But I think eventually it will look good when I start stitching it again. This next one I should have finished a long time ago, because if you look up there, you can see the two brown the two brown ones. Kikimora is the last one in that series, and it looks like this. And yeah, this project very clearly shows you that back in the days I used to start my projects in the middle. I don't do that anymore because look at all the excess fabric. This is stitched on 16 count dirty. Felix, what? Yeah, Felix. May I present Felix to you? Hope. Oh, no, 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 no. And he is having the time of his life. So 16 count Ada, called Dirty. Yeah, I should just pull myself together and stitch it. I think it's less than 1,000 stitches, so it shouldn't take that long. Next one is a Stephen King house. And I used to have an order in my projects. I'm pretty sure that he ruined that. You just have to love your cats, right? So this looks like this. This project is kind of a on-off project for me. Then I stitch on it for some days and I stitch quite a lot on it, and then I lose interest, and then I put it away and leave it there for several months or maybe years. And well, eventually it will be finished. This is also stitched on 16 count, hand-dyed by me. And where is my dots here? Dots. I think it has been a while since I made my last WIP Parade, and Felix! What I was saying was that this Felix, I think I have to take a break again in a very short time. As you can see, I'm getting closer to a finish. I think there's still 4,000 or 5,000 stitches left. So maybe, yeah. I don't know how many stitches there are left. So maybe if I'm lucky, I can finish all the Stephen King projects. Then I have to reorganize anyway. And then I can feed him, because this is annoying. The next one is called Golden Gowns. I started this while I was watching the show for the first time. And I found the show funny, but I kind of lost interest when I reached around season 3 or 4. Not that there was anything wrong with the characters. I like them all. But maybe it was because of all this 80 vibes. I don't know. Anyway. This is by the Witchy Stitcher. It's called The Golden Gowns, and I'm stitching it on 16 count black. And yeah, eventually I will finish it because I did like what I saw of the series. 3 more Witchy Stitcher projects left. This next one is from her book. You probably know she released a book last summer in August. And I'm going to stitch more of the projects from it, but this is the only one so far that I have recharted in WinStitch so that it's Pattern Keeper compatible. This is Dracula's castle. I have been to this castle in, this is called Brasov or Bran? No, it's called Bran Castle, and it's situated near Brasov in Romania. And I was in Romania in 1982. So that's a long time ago. I love all those red colors. And I actually don't know why I'm not stitching on it. Anyway, the fabric is a printed 16 count. It's called Galaxy Twirl. I bought it from Sew It All back when I could still buy stuff from the UK. I think it will turn out to be absolutely stunning. Maybe one of the reasons that I'm not stitching on it at the moment is that, and I will talk more about that later, but I'm not usually stitching spooky stuff around August, September, October, which could be the reason why. But there is an exception. Actually two. Because I'm on the Witchy Stitcher's Patreon, and I think this one is for sale now. It's normally for sale now. But I started it the day it was released on Pattern Keeper. It's called A Graveyard Wonder. I love these two creatures. I find them adorable, even though they're kind of spooky. I'm stitching it on 27 count even weave, hand dyed by me, and I'm using the call for colors. And I love the way it turns out. So in February, in due time for Valentine's, she came out with a Graveyard Union. So of course I had to start that as well. I haven't stitched that much on it. This is also on 27 count even weave, hand dyed by me. And I think there might be a third piece to this series. So I'm looking forward to that. But since I do not know how it will look at the moment, I cannot find the fabric yet, but I do have a lot of 27 count fabric, so I would love to put them in frames right next to each other. I think that could look stunning. But these I do stitch on all year round. Oh, this one I have stitched on all year round, and I might do the same with this. And they are actually both in the same project bag because some of the colors are the same. Now I'm going to see if I can rearrange my projects so I can continue with this WIP Parade. Just a moment. Well, Felix is still there. The next category is Nora Corbett. The first one is a freebie, a Christmas stocking. I did make some mistakes, but I think I can tweak it so I don't have to restart it. If I cannot tweak it, it's not that big a project, so I can restart it. And the fabric is big enough. It's a 25 count even weave, hand dyed by me, so you see I have plenty of fabric. This next one is called Conservatory. I am done with the stitching. I just need all the 600 beads to put them in, but I love the way it looks. It's on 27 count, hand dyed by me. I think I have another Nora Corbett in this series. The fun thing is, I never thought I would ever stitch Mirabilia or Nora Corbett until I saw her Christmas tree of 2010. That was the first Mirabilia I ever stitched and have finished. I'll put up a picture. And then I noticed that she had done a lot of other stuff that I actually like. For example, these gardens, and the next one I'm going to show you in a moment. because I'm not that much into her fancy ladies. Nothing wrong with them, it's just not my style. But these I like. This next one is my latest WIP. I started it less than a week ago. This is called the Gothic House. It's in the Holiday Village series by Nora Corbett. I think I have one more in this series, but since I have only recharted this one, so it's Pattern Keeper compatible, I don't remember the name of the other one. Yeah, but this is the Gothic House. And recently I have been dyeing a lot of fabric. Most of it I have put up for sale, only for Denmark. And then there was this one piece when I thought, no, I'm not going to sell this piece. I have to keep it. And immediately I knew that I had to stitch this project on it. I know that here you see the project on a green background. Well, you cannot call my background green. When I dye fabric, I give my fabric names instead of numbers because it's easier to remember. And usually fabric that I keep, I never give names. But with this one, I just had to name it, so I called it Dimmuborgia. If you do not know what Dimmuborgia is, it's a landscape in Iceland with black lava, and some people also say that it's the entrance to hell. The fabric looks like this. I picked the darker side of it for my project because then I can use this for something else. This is 27 count even weave, my favorite even weave count. And this is how far I got. I am currently just stitching the DMC, and when I'm done with the DMC, I will stitch with the water lilies. That's one color of water lilies. Then when I'm done with that, I will probably iron it and then stitch all the Kreinik, but I still miss 2 Kreiniks and they're very difficult to get hold of. So I don't know what I'll do if I cannot get hold of them. The only place I found where I can buy them is Casa Chinina in Italy. So if you do know about other places in the EU that sell Kreinik, please let me know, because I'm getting kind of desperate that every time I look at Casa Chinina, not available, because I do prefer to stitch with the called for threads. Anyway, when I'm done stitching with the Kreinik, hopefully, I will iron it again very thoroughly, and then I will start beading. And there are 3 types of beading in this, as well as special ornaments and stuff like that. But I really love the way it turns out. I think that this dark background is perfect for this Gothic house. Some may not agree with me, and of course that's fine by me. The next category is, they were kind of difficult to put in a category, so I just called it Places, Streets, History. The first 2 are by Galliana Cross Stitch. The first is called Victoria Street, and I am actually pretty far, but I made a huge mistake up here, so I have to unpick all this. So I'm actually thinking about giving up. And on the other hand, this is too stupid. I'm so close. So maybe I just unpick the border and I will not do the border. Then I'll have to unpick down here as well. But maybe I'll just unpick this, because then this can work as a road. And then just finish the last one. I don't know. I do like it, but not this borders. But maybe I should just pull myself together and pick up the border. And then this. That should be doable. And maybe I can even keep this one. What do you think? The other one, and this is stitched with DMC 4060. And the other one is Rose Street. I'm not that very far with this one. And that's stitched with DMC 4230. And it looks like this. Maybe I should do the same here. Just keep the frame. Then I would only need to unpick this. Then I could go on stitching. Again, what do you think I should do? I would really love your opinion on this, because when I was making the list for this WIP Parade, I thought, I'm going to toss them. But Victoria Street, I did so much stitching, and I do like the project. So please let me know what you think. I would really appreciate that. So the last one in this category is a Danish one by Permin. It's Tutankhamun. Very confetti heavy, but I have recharged it, so it's in Pattern Keeper. So now it's easier. I'm not very far, but eventually I will get there. Actually, this is bought as a kit in the 90s, and it was actually on black fabric. This is how far I got back then. That was when I was still using the paper pattern. I then switched to 16 count, because 16 count black, I have no problem with 16 count black. I can also stitch on 16 count black in the winter. But 18 count, not so much. Yeah, I think that was it. Now I have to move a cat again. Just a moment. Yeah. Actually, when I picked the next project, he was attacking my hands. Because it's his WIP pile. So I'm looking forward. Now I'm not so looking forward to picking the rest of them. What are you doing, Felix? No. No. The next category is geometric and words. The first one is I call it. No. Just a moment. I'm so sorry for the interruption. And if you can hear something in the background, it's because I had to feed him some, what you call it, cat candy, in order to get him away from there. He might jump up again. Anyway, the next, the fun of having cats. The next project is in hiatus because I cannot count. It's called Quilt Pattern. It's my own design. I'm using a lot of a lot of my green leftovers. But as you can see, I'm also doing eyelets and stuff, and I cannot count that. I did this kind of pattern in Christmassy colors in purple colors and blue colors, even in Kenzo colors, and of course I wanted to make one in green colors as well, but it's not Pattern Keeper compatible because I make the pattern while stitching. So the next one is probably going to be UFO'd. It's my temperature houses of 2024. Now we are in 2026. I have completely lost interest. I'm stitching it on 18 count opalescent. I made this pattern myself so that the houses were not that big, because the other ones I made, it was 39 stitches per day. It was a lot. Maybe I will just, yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, in the fabric I dyed it. As you can see, I'm not even through with April. And I don't feel like stitching it at all. I did temperature stitching. First I did the temperature tree. That was in 2021. And then 2 years in a row I did the temperature houses. I think it's by Jardin Privé. And then I decided to make my own pattern with tiny houses and some slightly bigger houses, and still I'm fed up with the temperature stitching. And I think the easiest here would be to just cut, and then I have a nice piece of fabric. I really don't know. So for now, it's not in hiatus, it's in coma. Or you could also say it's on death row. I have some projects on death row because I think I might, yeah, kill them. Well, when I'm doing my summer WIP parade, you will see if it has survived. Maybe it's still in the same status as now, death row. One never knows. The next one is called Star Pillow. It's from a Danish book with geometric patterns. I'm stitching it on 14 count white Aida with oxide silks from Misusidas, and it looks like this. And all together it's, yeah, why don't I use this could really use some iron because it's in this little bag, but you know, I haven't stitched on it for a long time, and this is how big it's going to be. So actually it's just filling out, and I do have it in Pattern Keeper, so, but this is a very, very good travel piece. But now I'm the one driving the car because I live by myself now. This next project, I have done that one before, but I did it for my school class and I wanted it for myself. It's called Creativity is Intelligence Having Fun. And I'm stitching it on 16 count, hand dyed by me. And this is how far I'm gone. This is how far I am. And I'm stitching it with black, the letters, and then the word creativity. I'm stitching with this Misusidas silks called Mojito. Yeah. The next one is also stitched with silks from Misusidas. This silk is called Damasco, and it looks like this. And this is a saying in Danish. But it looks like this, and this is on 16 count Sketek printed fabric, also by Sew It All. But for quite some time now, I have not felt like stitching on letters, sayings. So suddenly I can get into the mood of, oh yes, I only want to stitch letters. Next one is a geometric one. It's by Modern Folk Embroidery. I have stitched it once. It's called A Quilter's Dream. And this is on 18 count Confederate grey. And the first version I stitched in just 24 days. I mean, it was about 1,000 stitches a day. If I remember correctly, this has about 24,000 stitches. But I was totally a bit obsessed. I still love it, but now I have so many projects. Well, you see it. You see all my projects. And also I have taken up knitting, which means that I have not that much stitching time as I used to. I would like to have those two pieces next to each other. I think it would look absolutely stunning. I'm using DMC 321 and 310. This one is from an Italian magazine. It's called Lo chef ha sempre ragione. The cook is always right. And it looks like this, and it's on 16 count, hand-dyed by me. I'm using the called for, and this is one of my newer ones, and it should be manageable. And yeah, here I did do the letters, but they were kind of different from the other ones. What can I say? I'm a moody stitcher. The last project in this one is by a Danish designer. Her name is Kirsten Bro. She usually do most in knitting patterns, but sometimes she also does something for stitching, and she likes to find out how you can use your leftover threads, yarn or thread. And then she came up with this bookshelf with 3 rows, and I'm on the last one of them, and after that I can start filling out. I did fill out one of them just to see how it looked, and then I will use a lot of my leftover threads and maybe some metallic threads as well. And this is going to be very, very cool to stitch when I'm done with all the boring stuff, and then I can just fill out. Of course, I converted this pattern as well, so it's Pattern Keeper compatible. This is on 16 count. This is not Zweigart. This is on Permin fabric. It's a little different it feels a bit different than Zweigart. And it's 16 count, and it's called White Chocolate. This next category only has one project in it. It's called Colorful Casas by Emma Condon, and I love it. This is stitched on 16 count Icy Topaz printed fabric. And yeah, it's one of my favorite projects. It looks like this. Oh, I really hope I'm going to finish it this year. I would like to put it up in my bathroom where I have other Mediterranean projects, as well as some miniature watercolor paintings I bought when I was in Rome the last time. It's so beautiful. It's from a Cross Stitcher magazine. I think it's on the front page, so it should be very easy to recognize. I don't think it's a big picture on the front page, but I'm pretty positive that it is on the front page. The next category I called Whimsical. First of all, there's a mini. It's on 22 count Hardanger. And it's Iceland. And I'm stitching it 1/1. And I haven't stitched on it for a very, very long time. And, you know, the reason why I haven't stitched on it, it's not because it's 1/1, it's because I forgot to put a color in, and now I have to go all the way to the other end of the house. My house isn't big, and pick up the color, and that's the reason why I haven't finished it, because then it's easier to keep sitting in my chair and then just pick another project. So I'm not just a moody stitcher, I'm also kind of a lazy stitcher. The next, my favorite designer is, without a doubt, the Witchy Stitcher, but I also like Soda Stitch design and Tiny Modernist. My latest favorite designer is Nathnolo. I think she's from Cyprus. She makes the most adorable patterns. First I saw her knitting raven. I forgot the name of it. I can write it. And it didn't take me long, then I had finished it. I loved this raven. And I made it into a little pillow. And since it's knitting, of course, it's knitting yarn on the back side. And it's just so cute. Well, in this series, she also has a crafting owl. This is an owl that's cross-stitching. I'm stitching this on 16 count, and it's on the same fabric as this one. This one was actually down here. Yeah. And I think it's so cute. I have also bought the quilting fox, but I haven't started that one yet. I'm going to see if it fits here, because then it could be on the same piece of fabric. That would be nice. But I did start another one of her patterns, because this raven here is also here. And this one is called Spooky Cozy Friends. And this is on a similar fabric, also hand dyed by me. But I thought that since this is a kind of different series, I would not stitch it on the same fabric, because there might come another one. So I hope there will be room on the fabric, the other piece of fabric. So Spooky Cozy Friends is the name of this one. This last one in this category is also a hate. This one was a freebie. It's called Steampunk Owl. I'm not that very far. I have cut out the flowers. I'm only going to stitch the owl itself. And as you can see, the top hat takes quite a lot of stitching. I think there are more than 3,000 stitches here. It's on 18 count Ada, and the fabric is this big. I think it's going to be till down here. So this is going to be one of my biggest projects. So this one, I like stitching on it. Sometimes I just want to stitch blocks if I'm very tired. So I usually make the outline for an area, and then I can just fill out. That's very relaxing. As I mentioned earlier, I used to stitch anything, any time of the year. But maybe it's because I'm getting older. After all, I'm turning 60 this year. I realized that I've become more of a seasonal stitcher. not only because I tend to stitch spooky stuff in August till October and Christmassy stuff around November, December, etc., etc. The only exception is actually Christmas in July, because I still like to stitch some Christmas stuff in July. But apart from that, I have also started stitching quite a lot of seasonal projects, and I find that quite interesting. And I have a lot of them. The first one is called Winter Snowfall. I could put it in the Christmas category, but it is more winter than Christmas. This is by Shannon Christine. This is a restart. I had started it on 14 count, as you can see here. But I suddenly found, first of all, I had made a huge mistake. And then I found out, this piece of fabric is not big enough because it's 14 count. So I cut this out and I restarted it, and this time I restarted it on 27 count, hand dyed by me. And the fabric looks like this. I think it will look gorgeous on this. As you can see the white here. I love the way it looks, but you can see every single mistake you make. So I'm only stitching on this when I'm really not tired, and at the moment I am very tired. So it doesn't get all the love that it deserves at the moment, but that's just life. Maybe in the summertime, because this pattern on the top, it's neither very winter, neither very Christmassy. So maybe I would stitch on it in the summertime when the lighting is very good. This next one is my design. I call it Autumn Puzzle. I picked a lot of autumny colors, as you can see. And then I made a little pattern on 20 count. And it looks like this. As you can see, it looks like this, 3 little panels, because I have a frame looking like this. And the frame has exactly this size. This one is in hiatus, and this is kind of embarrassing because I have to finish with the colors here, and I have to go pick them up, not from a shop, from my other room. And as I said before, well, I'm also a lazy stitcher, so it just feels so far away when I'm sitting comfortable on my chair, and then I pick another project. I think next time I take it out, I should write down the numbers, and then next time I go into my craft room, I will pick up the colors and bring them, and then eventually, yeah, I think that will be the solution. Am I the only one feeling like that? Well, if I have to stand up and get another color, I will just pick another project. These next ones, they are, well, also in hiatus. First of all, this one I made huge mistakes, and these patterns are all by Cute Patterns by Maria. I think I'm going to unpick this one so I can use the fabric for something else, because yeah, I just don't feel like stitching it anymore. This is an 18 count light green. It's a very nice fabric. And then I have these two finished a long time ago, but it still needs the back stitching, and that's all that's left. Really, they would look wonderful as minis, but it might take another couple of years before I finish. Or maybe, as I said before, in 27, maybe I should make 27 the year of finishing. Let's move on. This is on 16 count Ada, easy count. As you can see, there are 2 finished projects, but I will make all 6 of them in this series. This is from Cross Stitcher magazine. So I will not fully finish them until I've done all of them. At the moment, well, it's been a while since I worked on it. At the moment, I'm working on the hedgehog. And I love these cushions, but I only stitch on them in August, September, October. So they are resting at the moment. Next 3 ones are by the Tiny Modernist. Some years ago, she made this series of seasonal samplers. This first one I started was a winter sampler, and I haven't finished it yet. I really love this one. As you can see, this is the bottom, so, but it's not winter anymore, so I don't feel like stitching on it. I love this one, but I don't always like that I have to change the colors all the time, because a lot of the motifs are very tiny. So this is also one of my on-off projects. This is stitched on 16 count linen look Ada. It's a printed fabric, as you can see. But my plan is to finish it before next winter. This is stitched on 16 count platinum. I haven't done that much on it, but come August I might pick it up again. The next one, that's a summer one, and I can feel that, ooh, I have to start stitching on this very soon, because these bright colors, and it has kind of the same colors as the colorful casas, and this is also on 16 count Icy Topaz, so the same fabric. And this is how far I got. And I love, 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 love this one. So my plan is this year at least to finish everything up here and maybe make the next one, the next row. That's the plan. I mentioned earlier that I have this challenge going on, because this is so typical me, turning 60 this year. Therefore I decided to make a 16, not a 16, that would be easy, a 60-year challenge. That means to start 60 new projects from my from my 59th birthday until the day before my 60th birthday. Of these 60 projects, 10 of them should be knitting projects. And that's no problem, because I already started all of the knitting projects. But the stitching projects, I think I have to start 50. I'm on number 23, I think, which means very soon I have 4.5 months to do another 27 new starts. Which is why I guess you can see why I'm not planning on finishing that much this year. Whereas 2027 could be a good year to finish a lot of stuff, or after my 60th birthday. Anyway, let's move on. This next one is my first Dear Governor pattern. This is called Crocus Panel, and it looks like this. This took ages to get into Pattern Keeper, because when you buy a Dear Governor pattern, you can only buy them as kits, and you get the threads, but you will not get the DMC numbers. You will only get symbols. So I've been sitting checking. I do have this DMC floss card, and I've been checking all these colors to trying to figure out which one is which number, and I hope I did it correctly, and then I could start making it into Pattern Keeper. To rechart it and first scan the paper pattern and then rechart it. So it has taken a lot of time, but as I said before, if it's not a Pattern Keeper compatible, I'm not going to stitch it, no matter how much I love it. Which is why I still haven't started the big Rome pattern by Thea Governor, because I'm still trying to figure out the colors. I have found most of the colors, but I do have 4 or 5 duplicates, and that's no good. But this summer, one day with very bright sunshine, I'm going to sit outside with all the colors and my color chart, and then hopefully I can find the right one so I can move on. Anyway, this is on 20 count linen. It's an Ada, but it looks like linen. And this is the middle crocus. And I will do the back stitching when I'm done stitching this crocus. I will do the back stitching and then move on. The reason why I chose to do this on 20 count, I mean, the fabric that came with the kit was, I think, 16 or 18 count Ada. It's a long time ago. I dyed it and used it for other projects, because since I'm not absolutely sure of the colors, I am afraid to not have enough. But on 20 count, I'm stitching with only 1 thread. That means I should have plenty of threads left. I think it looks absolutely amazing, and crocus is by far my favorite spring flower. So there it is. And this I had stitched this, and then recently I think it's less than a month ago, I actually stitched this, and now I'm feeling like stitching this again, of course, because it's spring at the moment. So this will go into the pile next to my chair, my stitching chair, so I can work on it. This one is by Soda Stitch. It's called Winter Village. I'm stitching this on 18 count, hand dyed by me. And this is how far I got. I have not stitched on it this winter. I love the way it looks. I also have the Autumn Village, which I haven't started. That might be one of my new starts. I mean, I just have to start a project. If I only stitched 20 stitches on it, I still started it, right? But as with all Soda Stitches designs, this has plenty of backstitching. But I think it looks gorgeous. And this blue color is, I mean, I think the colors pop on this wintry blue fabric. I'm very happy with it anyway. Madame Chantilly. I don't recall ever making a WIP Parade without some projects by Madame Chantilly. And of course I have Madame Chantilly pieces here as well. I have done her Christmas owls. I have done her Halloween owls. I also have the winter, the spring, and the summer owls. And they have all been recharted into Pattern Keeper. So these are the winter owls on fabric hand dyed by me. I have stopped stitching on them for now, winter, but as you can see, I'm pretty far, which means that I think I might actually be able to finish them before next winter, that means that it would only have taken me a year to make one. That would be so cool. But well, let's see. I haven't kitted up. Yeah, I have kitted up the summer one, and I was thinking about stitching the summer one on this one. It's called Buttermilk, but now I'm not sure, so I might pick another fabric. But I did pick the fabric for the spring ones, and I have started stitching the spring owls, and they are so cute. And this is on 16 count, hand dyed by me, and they look like this. And they're so cute. So, as soon as I found out which fabric I want to stitch the summer owls on, I'm going to start the summer owls. And another reason why I don't want to stitch them on this is because winter as well as spring owls, they are both on hand dyed fabric, and then this looks a bit fade compared to. 2 categories left. Christmas is the next one. The next one is my oldest WIP, and yeah, I wonder if I'll ever finish it. It looks like this. So pretty cute, right? It's a printed project. I don't know what I was thinking when I bought it. It's 14 count. The threads look like this. I love the motif. I hate stitching it. I hate that I ran out of some of the green colors, and now I have to find a replacement so I can continue. I'm really not happy with stitching this one. And also I cannot put it into Pattern Keeper because I do not have a paper pattern for it. So I'm this close to just throw it out. Even though I love the pattern, I love the motif, but also it's so huge. And even when I've stitched, you can still see some of the print underneath it, and I'm just so... Would you throw it out? I mean, at the moment I'm stitching up here. This is almost done. Here I still need to do all the darker green. The house is done. Sorry. You see how big it is. Here most of it is done. Here I need to do this, and then here all this lantern, it's only some of it which is done, and some of the birds missing as well. Would you continue when you're really not happy about it? Or would you just maybe not throw it out, but just put it far, far away? What would you do? Because it really annoys me. If I could find the pattern, even as a paper pattern, but if I could find the pattern, then I could rechart it and put it into Pattern Keeper, and I could stitch it on 18 or 16 count, and I would be much more happy with it. But I do not know. This is the company Zivek, and it's number 5495. I don't know if it's still available, and not as a printed kit. Yeah, I'm unhappy with this one. No more words about it. The next one is also a Galliana cross stitch. This one I love stitching on when I'm in a, how should I put it, a monochrome mood, because I'm only using one color. I'm stitching it on 18 count light blue Aida. This is Christmas window, and I'm using the silk called Cover. It actually shows the color almost the way it looks. By Misositas, and you can see this is how far it goes, and that means I would have a nice piece of fabric left. I like this one. I love stitching on it, as I said, when I want to stitch monochromatic. These next two are by the Italian designer Olaf & Stitch. They were very cheap. I think I paid €5 each. It's a digital download on Casa Chinina. The first one is called Arrivano I Regali, and it's stitched on, let me see, 16 count parchment, and it looks like this. This is the center house. Comes Christmas in July, I usually have a list of 10 till 12 Christmas projects that I have to work on, and if I just do 20 stitches, it counts as if I've been working on it. Usually I stitch way more, because in July I have summer holiday, so I do have the time. But anyway, the next one is also by Olaf & Stitch. It's called Albero di Natale, or Santa's house in English. And this one I stitched on 16 count gray Aida, and here I did some more, and here you can see all 4 colors. And I think they're very, very cute. And I like to stitch these kind of houses, because yeah, you do have to change the colors from time to time, but also it's a lot of block colors. You can see here, I think all this has to be white, which is why I am outlining it. I'm doing the outline so I can just fill out. This one is by Lindner's Kreuzstiche. It's on 20 count gray. I recharted it in Winstitch. This was a paper pattern, and then I chose my own colors because I didn't like the colors that had been used. So these are my color choices. This next one is also one where I was wondering, where should I put it, Christmas or winter? But since there's a church on it, I kind of find it Christmassy. This is called Winter Silhouette by Diane Arthurs, and it's on 16 count navy blue Aida. And this one, I'm always stitching on this on Christmas in July, and I'm using the B5200 that I got hold of. This pattern I can actually thank the 2 tall stitches for, because they were the ones who showed it. So thank you. The next project is by The Primitive Hare. There are actually 2 patterns, but I'm only stitching the first one at the moment. Yeah. This one is called Bar Humbug. The other one is Scrooge and Marley. This is on 27 count, and so far, a hand-dyed by me, and so far I only did the frame, but at least I didn't miscount the frame. The next one was a Sal by Lola Crow. It's called Monsters Christmas, and I'm doing it on, the recommendation was black fabric. I chose some purple, which I hand dyed, and I love the way it looks. It's 2 years ago. It started in 24, and I hardly stitched anything. Yeah, I did some of the frame in 25, but otherwise it has been a year since I stitched on it. There's a lot of color. If you look at the ones up here, there's a lot of color changing, which is probably why I decided I'm going to finish the frame first, as well as the letters up here, and then I can just pick. First of all, I will finish this one, and then this will be done, and then I can look at this as a mini project, and when that's done, then I'm only one left. So eventually it will be done someday. And the last Christmas one is probably my favorite. I have stitched it before, but back then I did it as an advent calendar. This time I'm only stitching the picture or the motif itself. I'm not going to put all the numbers. I might put on the stars, but otherwise no. This is from a Danish magazine from 1990. It was a paper pattern, so it took some time to scan it and recreate it in the WinStitch, but I did. And I love this one. And this fabric is called Twilight Hour. And as you can see, I'm pretty far. And as I said, I love stitching on this one. And this will definitely be one of my projects for Christmas in July. Yeah, I would love to be able to put it up for next Christmas. So, as you know, I stitch based on my mood. And apparently my moods have themes. And one of these themes is very clearly Halloween. This first one is from Just Cross Stitcher magazine. I'm doing it on 14 count, sorry. And I'm definitely not going to do everything. I'm going to finish up here. And that's it. I had been thinking about doing this one down here as well, but no. I'm just going to finish this one and then it will be done. So, what's left? 200 stitches? That should be doable. Oh, this next one. Halloween I can't, I'm stitching. By Jardin Privé. I don't know what to do with it. I'm stitching it on 25 count mushroom. I'm using all the called for except for the color of the witch's face, because I used some green silks from Mrs. Cedars there. It looks like this. But if you look at the pattern, like this. I'm really not, how should I put it? I liked it when I bought it, but I bought it in 2021, and since then my style has changed a bit. I'm kind of indifferent to it now. So I don't know what I should do with it. Maybe I should. Yeah. I did do that once before with great success. A Danish sampler that I didn't want to stitch anyway, so I gave it up. I mean, some could say, hey, I would like to stitch that one, and then I would send it to them with threads and everything. It went all the way to America, and that was several years ago. Now, if I should send something to America, first of all, if it was possible, it would be so expensive. I think it was 2 years ago I was going to send a paper pattern to America. It cost me 50 Danish kroner. Now it will probably cost 150. So no, it will not be an option to send this anywhere except for Denmark. But maybe if there are some Danes watching this, if you, I would say that, yeah, you will get the pattern and you will get the fabric and you will get the floss for it. But you will have to pay the postage. And you know, in Denmark, it will be 45 kroner, so it's not that expensive. So any Danes out there who would like to finish this one, and you could keep it, you don't have to send it back to me, you can keep it, well, let me know. I think that could be the thing I do, and I do have a Danish floss tube. I will save there as well in one of my next episodes, I think. Yeah, that's the right thing to do, because I'm not going to finish it. So I will put that one aside, so I remember it next time. The next 3 projects are by Autumn Lane Stitchery. I love the Halloween projects, but I tend to always make mistakes. But usually I'm also able to tweak it. The first one is the oldest one for me. It's called Something Wicked This Way Comes. It's on 16 count, dyed by me, and it looks like this. And I did some mistakes in the tree and the house, and you cannot see it. But I know it, and now you know as well, because I told you so. But I really love the way it looks. And eventually it will be done. Yeah, this needle minder, it's from when my name was Danish Stitcher, but of course I'm still using it. The next one is called Tonight We Ride. Also Autumn Lane Stitchery. This is also on fabric dyed by me. And it looks like this. And here I also made mistakes in the house, counting mistakes. So, but I think it looks quite alright. And now the last one from Autumn Lane Stitchery. This one I'm doing on 18 count, also hand dyed by me. It's called Witch's Hollow, and it looks like this. And the reason why I decided to stitch this on orange fabric is because then I don't have to stitch all the orange stuff. Actually, the pattern is made so that you do not have to stitch the orange. So this fabric was dyed for this project. Next one is called Halloween Cats. I haven't stitched on it for a while, but I do love the colors on this fabric. This is an 18 count opalescent. This is also one of those on-off projects. Now it's another soda stitch design. This is called Meoween. I have absolutely no idea why I'm not stitching on this, because it's stitched on 18 count oatmeal, which is fabric that I have stitched projects on before. It's just one of those projects where I think, I should pick that one up again, and then I just don't do it. But it's cute. Yeah. The next two are also solder stitch. The first one is Halloween Witch, which I actually don't think has backstitching in it. It looks like this. This is also one of the patterns I like, but it just takes forever for me to finish them. And this one even has block stitching in it. This is an 18 count easy guide. And I love the colors. So I really don't know why I'm not stitching on it. The next one is Halloween Jar. As you can see, I did finish the first one, and I'm pretty close with the second one. As you can see in number one, there is very, very much backstitching, and I think that might be the reason why I'm not finishing the other one. This is stitched on 14 count Ada, hand dyed by me. This is actually one of the first pieces of fabric that I dyed myself. And it's very thick. I think it's DMC. I can see that it's not Zweigart, because then it would have this orange woven line. This next one is Caterpillar cross stitch. As I mentioned with the cat people, one of the first projects I showed you several hours ago, I was annoyed that I kept forgetting using my fancy floss. So I did the same with this one. This one is called Touch of Magic, and I recharted it in WinStitch and into Pattern Keeper, and then I decided I was going to stitch it only with Miss Usita silks. So these are the silk colors that I have chosen for it. Oh, I love stitching with silks. It's such a soft thread. I'm not that very far. It's on 16 count, hand dyed by me. And this is how far I got. But I think come August, I will probably start stitching more on it. And now I remember why I have so many projects that I only stitched a little bit on. That's because New Year's Eve 2 years ago, I started a new project at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9, all the way till midnight. And I haven't stitched on most of them since. So yeah, there you have it. That's probably the reason. This is my first mill hill. It looks like this. It's called Haunted Tower. So I'm not using the threads. I am, because it does say the numbers, so I just picked them from stash instead of trying to figure out which color is which color. I hate perforated paper because I'm stitching in hand. I'm using the sewing method, and you cannot do that on perforated paper. So I'm stitching this on a scrap of 14 count, same size as the paper, and I'm stitching 3/1 so that the coverage will be good. And this is how far I am. And I think it's called oatmeal. No, it's not. It's called Yorkshire. Sorry. Called Yorkshire. Oatmeal was the one I used for Meoween. This one is by Noctiflora Designs. This is called, this must be permanent again, because it's the same fabric as, yeah, I forgot. It's not that important. This is called Peculiar Pumpkin. This is a small one, so I should be able to finish it. But as you can see, I haven't done that very much. You know, the funny thing is, I do not celebrate Halloween. No. But every year, this cabinet behind me will be decorated for Halloween, and I will put it up around mid-October until 1st of November, and then I will take it down. Yeah, and as you have probably noticed, I love stitching spooky stuff. This one I'm stitching with Redwood. It's by XU Design silks called Redwood. The pattern itself is called Carpe Noctem. I'm stitching it on 25 count, hand dyed by me. This is some very old fabric. I think it's more than 40 years old. Probably 50, because I remember having it when I was a teenager. Yeah, it looks like this. I'm not that very far. The pattern itself has several colors, but I decided to go monochrome. This is called Free Hugs. I think the pattern is from Just Cross Stitch magazine. But guess what? I was going to check because I have the Redley app. And you know what? Just Cross Stitch magazine has disappeared from the Redley app. Do I look just slightly annoyed? Then you're right. I am, because Just Cross Stitch magazine was my favorite cross stitch magazine, next to Cross Stitcher magazine. And now it has disappeared without a word from Redley app. So, a little bit annoying, to put it mildly. Anyway, this one was called Free Hugs. I'm using 310 and Wix dye work 12.95. I'm stitching it on 14 count pink Aida. And yeah, it looks like this. It should be, I should be able to finish it this year. It's not that very big. I'm so very glad that every time there came a new issue of Just Cross Stitch magazine, I was looking through it, and then I would save the patterns that I liked, because otherwise, so I still have some patterns from the magazine I haven't started because they still need to be Pattern Keeper compatible. But is it annoying? Oh well. The next one, again, Soda Stitch. This is on 16 count, hand dyed by me. And this is called, this is a freebie. It's called Halloween Pumpkin. And it looks like this. And one of the good things about Soda Stitch design is that her patterns are always Pattern Keeper compatible. Yeah. Now there's only one project left. Yay! I'm impressed if you're still here. This used to be a Sal by Noxiflora Design. It's called Vampurum Sal. It looks like this. And you know what? I'm not going to finish it because this wasn't what I expected it would be. These are not vampires for me. So my plan is I'm going to finish this one, and maybe there's something here, and then call it quits. The fabric is 18 count, hand dyed by me. The fabric recommended was grayish with some pink and gray in it, and this is what I did. But no, I'm not going to finish it. So this is on death row, and yeah, the whole pattern is on death row, but I'm going to finish it here. And then I'll probably make it into a pillow, I think, maybe. And then I can use the rest of the fabric for something completely different. So yes, I don't really celebrate Halloween, but I do decorate and I do stitch it quite a lot. And I guess that just proves my point. It's not about what I should be stitching, it's about what I feel like stitching. So, mood management it is.